melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. You mad? We got melanin. Melanin.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Rose. Happy second day of Black History Month. Today is February 2nd, 2019, and as promised, your girls bring you another video of Black history in the law. So y'all, I figured, why not bring it home a little bit? Why not bring it to good old Memphis, Tennessee? As y'all know, Memphis is filled with wonderful, historical, iconic people who have done great things for the Black community and continue to do great things for the Black community. So guys, I want to share with you guys about Benjamin L. Hooks. Yes, Benjamin L. Hooks is a Memphis native. He was born in 1925 right here in Memphis. A lot of his advocacy and activist work happened in Memphis. However, he spent a good bit of his time outside of Memphis developing himself to come back. Benjamin L. Hooks attended schools throughout the city of Memphis. He went to high school here. He also attended Lamont College, which is now Lamont College, which is a historically Black university right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Check them out. They're doing great things. A lot of great, awesome people go there and have come from there, so you should definitely check them out. And after his time in college, he actually went to go serve in World War II. He spent time in Italy, and during that time as a guard, he witnessed just a lot of racial discrimination in Italy in regards to Black soldiers. He noticed how they weren't allowed to go into certain places, how they were treated, and that continued the fire in him. So after he served, he wanted to get a law degree. Right? Like, you see injustice, you see these things happening. He's like, I'm going to law school. However, being that the South was steeped in racial segregation and racism in general, it was very hard for Mr. Hooks to get into a law school in the South. So he applied to law school up north, and he actually got into DePaul Law School in Chicago. That's where he earned his JD. Though Benjamin Hooks had opportunities to start a practice in Chicago, he really wanted to come home and serve in Memphis. Now, at the time, the Black legal community in Memphis was really small. And as you can imagine, Benjamin and other lawyers at the time experienced a lot of racial discrimination. He said that often he was called a boy, and he felt lucky if they called him by his name, Ben. Now, by no means does that mean he accepted or took that, but just to express that even as a lawyer, right, we sometimes feel that there's this idea of respectable politics, like respectability politics, that if you get to a certain space, you'll be treated with equality. And that's just not true. We can see that over and over in history, but we can also see it done to this day, where doctors going into their additions are stopped by police, asked for their ID, and sometimes even arrested, right? So this idea of respectability politics that has come up more recently just has never been a thing historically, and I feel like we can see that through the life of Benjamin L. Hooks when he talks about law clerks calling him boy, and just that racial discrimination that he even experienced coming home to Memphis trying to advocate for Black people. Benjamin L. Hooks was also a minister. He preached here in Memphis as well as in Detroit. He also was a part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which worked for equality rights of African Americans alongside Dr. Martin Luther King. After years of advocating and serving our people as an attorney, in 1956, Benjamin L. Hooks was elected to be the first ever African American criminal judge in Tennessee, which is a big deal. Not only a big deal just because he was the first, but when you consider the amount of injustices that are happening just in our criminal defense department, having a person there who wanted to change and wanted to advocate for even the criminal, right? Like, who wanted them to have their fair chance at the law, having someone in that position of power was extremely impactful for the Black community, not just in Memphis, but in Tennessee as a whole, because he had the opportunity to give voice to a lot of things, which he did. In 1972, Benjamin Hooks became the first African American commissioner under President Nixon. He was the commissioner of the Federal Communications Commission, and during his time, he noticed that there was a lack of African American presence in television and broadcasting, and so his goal was to increase that presence. But he also wanted to increase the amount of employees that were also on the Federal Communications Commission. So he did a lot of work with getting equality as far as visuals and TV and voice and radio, but also as far as jobs in the commission's office. He served almost 20 years as the executive director for the NAACP, which, as I mentioned before, is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, bridging the gap, fighting for equality for African Americans all over our country. There are so many great things that I can share with you about Benjamin L. Hooks. Something that I'm taking away from learning about his legacy is the idea that we should always be striving to help others. We should always be striving to serve. And something that I took away from his legacy was essentially if given the opportunity to get to a position where you have the ability to uplift others, you should. So for me, as someone who has had the opportunity to go to college multiple times and is currently in a professional graduate program, like, I should be looking for ways that I could give back to others always. And that's something he was. He was a catalyst for opening doors, but also reminding people that you do have to grit and you do have to grind, and nothing is going to be handed to you. And so I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to share with you guys about his life. Again, I encourage you to look further into his life. I encourage you to use his life as an example to serve and help others and see issues and do something about them, because that's what Benjamin Hooks did. I want to leave y'all with a quote from Benjamin L. Hooks. And this quote is just super impactful to me, and it serves as a charge for many, but it serves as a charge specifically for Black men. So let me read this quote for you guys. It says, "Black men who have succeeded have an obligation to serve as role models for young men entrapped by a vicious cycle of poverty, despair, and hopelessness." Y'all, my brothers, that's the charge for you. My sisters, that's the charge for us. Just flip it and add Black women and young women, and let's do the thing. Let's help our youth. Let's impact their lives. It just takes one at a time. So just take one at a time. So y'all, that's my video about Benjamin Hooks. I hope it was super informative. If you like this video, go ahead and hit with the thumbs up, right? If you think that this video was informative and you want to share with someone, please do it. Again, the purpose of this series is for me to share with you guys iconic Black figures who have paved the way in the field of law, or specifically in regards to law. Primarily because I just think it's important, and this is a way that I feel like I can impart knowledge on Black History Month. So again, that's the purpose of this series. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comment box. Share this with someone you know. I really, really hope these videos are getting out and getting shared. And until next time, this is your girl Rose. Peace.
I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin.